Hi there and welcome to Photo Mike's Garage. So I made a previous video where I cleaned up the interior of my 2011 Crown Vic that you see behind me, and just a few simple tricks that make it look really good. If you're going to keep the Crown Vic or you're going to sell it, it's important to make everything look good. If you're going to sell it, you're going to get more money no matter what. So today I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks that I use for cleaning the outside of the Crown Vics. And these are specifically to the white Crown Vics because the color of the paint makes a difference. Okay, so the color does make a difference on what kind of cleaning procedures that you're going to do. But before I explain that, let's look at what we have here. So this car has been washed so that you can actually see the problem areas. And let's go around. Okay, so we got some paint chips in the front of the vehicle. This would be like a touch-up. Otherwise, it's not really that bad. Also down here, paint chips right through to the gray primer. Don't know if you can see that, but that's all. I think you got to repaint the front of this bumper. That can be done. Okay, so we have a rusty wheel. This is typical, rusty, terrible shape. This is easy to fix, quickly done. I'm not going to do that first. First of all, we're going to work on the paint, but then we're going to paint these wheels. Now, right here, you can see that the police officers ran over some freshly yellow painted lines. I don't know why they did that, but they did. So there's yellow paint right here, yellow paint here, here, and all along the side of the rocker. Now, that's going to be hard to get off. Okay, so we also have some rust spots. Now this isn't rust through, this is from outside, from rock chips hitting the paint and then peeling it off, and so that allows the rust to start. So this can be sealed and then painted. Okay, we have another rusty wheel and more rust from rock chips. Again, you just gotta cover that up with a fresh coat of paint. You got paint chips all along the rim of the wheel opening, and here's something special. You got a special type of thing that's in the clear coat. It's embedded in the clear coat. This is sort of like rust spots, little bits of metal that have embedded themselves into the clear coat of this car, and they won't come off with just an ordinary wash. You're going to have to use something special to get that off. Don't know if you can see it, but you can still see the outline of where the decals were on this vehicle. That's pretty easy to take off. I'll show you how to do that. And oh, look at this rear bumper. Someone actually did a little bit of bumper tag with this guy. This is right through to the plastic. This is not just a stain. This is actually right through. So this rear bumper will have to be painted. But the rest of the paint's not bad. It's not peeling. It's a lot of these cars, the white paint just peels right off. This one, not too bad. So it's just the front and rear bumper. And of course, oh, look at this. Look at this. This is just tons of rust spots. They don't come out easy. They don't come out easy. Yeah, okay, look at this. We got tar. We got tar. Tar here. Some tar right here. So that's got to come off too. All right, so you see what we're dealing with here. And this car is not too bad. A lot of the police vehicles at auction are far worse, far worse. Now, the advantage is that we have white paint here. And what that means is that we can use certain methods that will take out the stains, take out those little bits of metal that may dull the clear coat. But because it's a white car, that will not show. And if you really wanted to make the car nice after it's clean, you give it a quick buff. So the clean methods that we're going to use might take off a little bit of the clear coat, may dull the paint slightly, but if you wanted to, you could buff it, bring that shine right back up. All right, so this is what I'm going to use. Lacquer thinner, a kitchen scrubber, some nice blue towels, and something to scrape with. Okay, so again, this is not necessarily what everybody's going to use because this is pretty strong stuff, but it'll do the job quickly. And like I said, if it dulls the clear coat, you can always buff it. It's also a good idea, if you're using these kind of chemicals, to wear rubber gloves. If you don't, you're going to start forgetting who you are, what your last name is, and all that kind of stuff. So wear some rubber gloves. Now the first thing I like to do is to soften up the opposition. This is the enemy right here. And as you can see, right away, it starts coming off. After it's softened up a bit, give it a kind of a scrape. Now I can do this scraping because this is sort of like an inner fender area, so I'm not too worried. I probably wouldn't do this if it was on the outside. And use the kitchen scrubber if you got some really tough areas. All right, look at that. That's how quickly that came off. Now let's do the rocker panel over here. Okay, so all the paint is out of the wheel wells and off of the rocker panels, all clean from paint, all gone, looking pretty good. Okay, so on this side our problem is tar and tar, so let's get that off. It's the same idea on this side. We're going to use lacquer thinner to quickly get rid of this tar. The tar's all gone. Our next problem is all this basically mineral deposits in the clear coat, mineral, bits of metal, whatever it is, it's not coming off with the lacquer thinner. It's not going to come off. You got to find something else that's going to work on this, and I have something else. Vim. Yes, Vim. Now of course Vim is an abrasive cleaner, so yes, this will slightly dull the clear coat, but like I said before, after you're finished with this, you can polish it, and Vim is the quickest way to get these deposits off. Okay, we've got a nice clean blue cloth here, shop towel, a little bit of Vim right there, and here we go. Hopefully it's clear. This is the area that I just did, and this is the area that still has to be worked on. You can see how quick that is. Takes it off just like that. All right, this section right here, all done. And you can see that it is looking really good. It still actually does have a shine. So the Vim didn't actually dull it too much. It could be brought up to a higher shine with just a little bit of buffing, but that takes off all those mineral or rust particles, deposits, whatever you want to call them. Now I just got to keep working and do the whole car. Okay, so next we're going to take off the decal residue on the trunk and various other places in the car. You can see that there's not much to it. Some cars are way worse than this. This has got a big S right here. And for this, we're going to use Goof Off. Okay, all the paint is gone. The tar is gone. But you know what I've discovered is that the whole car is covered in, the whole car is rough. And I don't know if you can see, but the whole car is covered in little spots of tar and rust spots. So the entire car must be scrubbed to clear this off, and I'm going to tell you how I do it. Okay, here's everything I'm going to use. First of all, I'm going to use Vim. Yes, Vim again, and I'm going to scrub the whole surface. Now that's going to take off basically the tar pretty good, and but it won't make it perfect. And then I'm going to finish it off by claying the car. I've got some clay here. Clay is this wonderful clay-like substance that somehow takes off the imperfections out of the clear coat. And I don't even know how. I don't know how these work. I never have. But they work. That's all I know. So, get yourself some clay, and we're going to use it. I'm going to do a patch right here, and you're going to see what I mean. Okay, now I'm going to use the clay. Now to lubricate the clay so that it glides over the surface, I'm going to use detailer. This is sort of like just like a lubricant. You can use sort of like a soap as well if you wanted to, but in this case I'm going to use detailer. And then you just start going over the surface, and it may seem like it would scratch it, but it doesn't really scratch it. And in this car, minor scratches don't matter anyway because of where we're at. But it will take up all these little particles. It really will. It's like magic. It's like magic. I don't know how it works. But it works. You can see it's picking up. It's picking up stuff right now. Every once in a while you gotta knead the clay. Knead the clay. Turn it over. Squish it flat. A little more lubricant. And carry on. Okay, you can see how much better that is. And it's smooth. It's very smooth. At this point, you could just simply put a little layer of wax on here to protect it, and you're done. Okay, so the Crown Vic is looking pretty darn good. Progress is being made. But now the next very important thing is this Crown Vic has a lot of paint chips, more than normal in the front of the car here. So this has to be touched up, and this is my next step. So all I'm going to do is clean the surface, get some regular aerosol paint, glossy white, which I have, which is a close match, not an exact match, but close. And I'm just going to touch up all these spots. Now to clean the surface, I'm just going to use some alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and we'll just wipe that surface in preparation to putting some paint down. Okay, so I've touched up this half of the front end. Now I have to do this side, and all I do is I'm taking my trim clad gloss white, which is a pretty close match to the white on the Crown Vic. I take a sort of like a swizzle stick or a little stick you can buy anywhere. Got a little paint right here, and all I'm gonna do is dip the point in and then just touch up the paint just like that. Put a little dot right like that. Okay, I've got all the paint chips covered. From a certain distance, you can't even tell there was any problem. But if you get up really close, you can see where I did the job, and you can see that the paint doesn't quite match. But from a very great distance, this looks good. I look good from a very great distance as well. Now I'm going to paint the lower parts of the bumper, but before I do that, I have decided to take off the reflective tape stripes. Okay, I've already taken this one off. It's came out quite well, and this is what I'm talking about. Reflective tape stripes that we have on the cars up here in Canada. I don't know if everybody has these, but we have these. They go down the whole side of the car. They go up and over. Focus. They go up and over, and often they get dirty. As you can see, the tape starts to collect the dirt. Often they're cracked, in bad shape, collecting the dirt. And this car's paint is so nice, and I think it's pretty strong, so I think it's safe for me to take these off. Now there is a danger, because when you try and take these off, sometimes it takes the white paint with it. If you have a car with very weak white paint, then it might be an idea just to leave the tape stripes on. But this car, the paint is strong. It feels strong. So I'm going to take off all these reflective pieces of tape. I've got it down to a real science, and I'll explain in detail exactly what you need to do. Alright, so the first thing you got to do is spray the stripe with something like Goo Gone, a decal remover that comes out sort of as a gel. And this, you just go along the whole sides of the strip. All the strips you're going to have to do, and what this is going to do is going to soften up the edges of the tape. It's going to sort of get into the edges, soften the glue contact to your paint, and so that when you actually remove the stripe, the glue will not take the paint off. That's the whole idea, because the paint on these Crown Vics is very weak. It can flake off, it can peel off easily, so you got to make everything as pliable as possible so that it will not remove your paint. We're going to let that soak in for a while, soften up all the edges, and then we're going to use our heat gun and take off the plastic strip. Okay, I've got my heat gun. I'm wearing gloves to protect my hands, and I've got a plastic scraper. You don't use metal, that'll just go right through your paint. Plastic, but it has to be a very tough plastic, a plastic that will not easily melt. I'll put a link below where you can get these, of course. And what we do is we start heating up the surface. We start at this end right here. Get it all heated up. Once it starts getting pliable, you can start to feel it. You can feel the plastic starting to give. That's right, then as it gets hot, it'll start peeling off real easy. Real easy, see? Just like that. Keep it going. Keep it going. As you can see, we've taken off the hard plastic top, plus also some of the white reflective layer. Anything you miss, you can come back and scrape. And keep going. Okay, you gotta be careful when you get to the end here, because what we have is a rubber seal around a plastic taillight. You put too much heat here, you're gonna wreck the rubber seal and wreck your taillight. So what you wanna do is apply your heat by directing it away from the plastic taillight and from the rubber. All right, I'm not sure if you can see, but basically what we have now left over is a layer of glue. Basically what we've taken off is the top clear layer, as well as this reflective white plastic layer. And what's left is just the glue. So next step is to put more Goo Gone on to sort of just soften the glue again. Put that on, and then we're going to start scraping again with our plastic scraper. And as the glue gets softened, it will start to come up. Okay, so now there's just a very thin layer of glue left, and that's where I use lacquer thinner. Yes, lacquer thinner will take off that thin layer of glue quite easily, just like that. All right, there you can see the reflective strip is gone. Nice and smooth now. That's the process that you've got to go through. And when you're using lacquer thinner to do the final cleanup, make sure you don't touch, try not to touch the plastic parts here, because the lacquer thinner can affect that, can add like a white haze to any black plastic. So avoid that, but it's fine on the paint. And there you go, all done. Now I just gotta keep going. I'm almost done. All right, all the reflective tape is all off. That makes the car look so much cleaner. This side's done, the other side's done. I'm glad that's over with. That was not fun. Smooth. Okay, so the next step is to paint the bumpers. I want to cover all of this. These are all paint chips. I want to cover this, so I'm going to paint the lower bumper, and I've got to make sure the headlights and turn signals are covered, because even though you spray down here, the spray will get up here, and you don't want to have to try and get the paint off of this, because these are plastic, so the paint won't come off too easily. I've taken the grill out. The grill comes out really easy. Just take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nuts from the inside, and it pulls right out, no problem. Got a few touch-ups to do. I want to paint down here. And of course the rear bumper, which is in good shape except for just this. I just want to paint this, so I'm going to tape up all up here, including over all the taillights. Going to protect them from the paint. Okay, the car is all prepped. I don't think you could get even a better job at a professional body shop. I got all the critical areas covered. Right there, tires, windshield, just to be safe, tires, the whole back, tail lights, all protected. Pretty professional job, if I do say so myself. Okay, so now the idea is to go around wherever I'm going to paint. I'm going to put some rubbing alcohol just to take off any oil that might be there, and then we can get going. All right, she's all ready to be painted, and I'm a little bit nervous because this is the crucial part. Am I going to wreck the car? I don't know. Let's find out. As always, I am using Tremclad anti-rust paint, but this goes on really good. It doesn't run too easily. It's fairly thick, not thin, and these are really good paints. This is the way to go for either the black for the wheels or the white. And of course I'm going to do a few coats. So you just want to get a base coat on first. It won't totally get rid of these paint chips. You just want to get that started. Then we'll go from there. So I put 2 quick coats on, and I think you can already see that it's looking a lot better. Now, it's certainly not perfect, and even the paint match is not exact, but it's pretty darn close. That's looking so much better, especially the rear bumper. Unless you get close, you can't really see that there was any real damage there. I think this is a really good 6.5 footer. Really good 6.5 footer now. Okay, so I think that I've actually increased the value of this Crown Vic by at least $1,000. I really do. I really do. It makes a difference how the car looks. So what do you think? Do you think I'm right? You think that's way optimistic? But I think an extra $1,000 because of the way this car is going to look. All right, guys, there she is, my 2011 Crown Vic, painted, the bumpers anyway, and looking pretty darn good. Got all the masking tape off, all the paper, and just have a look. Yes, yes. Look at that rear bumper. Just look at that rear bumper. And I think you can see that there is a color difference. The paint that I use has a slightly warmer tone than the original. This is the original. This is the paint that I used. But the difference is not really big, and that looks pretty good. There's one thing really holding this back now from looking just perfect finished, and that is the wheels. One of the most important things you can do on a Crown Vic is to paint the wheels. They're always rusty, they always look terrible, without exception. So this is the next step. All right, so for the wheels, it couldn't get much simpler. What we're simply going to do is take off the scaly rust here and just clean up the wheel surfaces. I'm not going to make it perfect. I'm not going to bother doing that at this point to make everything perfect. I'm also not going to take the wheels off the car because it's so much simpler just to do it here. Yeah, I'm going to show you how simple it is. It makes a big difference. So the first step is to take off the scale off the wheel, clean it up. Then we're going to use the Tremclad rust paint semi-gloss black. This is the best paint. It goes on thick, covers all the defects, does not react. Fantastic paint. It's a good idea to wear goggles when you're doing this as well. Okay, let's get going. So we're ready to paint all these wheels. They're certainly not perfect. All the rust is not gone. I've just sort of smoothed off the surface a little bit. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to paint right over whatever you see right here. And another thing to think about is that as you paint these wheels with the wheels on the car, you're going to get some paint on the disc brakes. A lot of people might be worried about that. I say don't worry about it. The minute you drive one block, all that paint will be gone from your disc. It'll be just wiped off. Only a little bit of paint's going to get on the disc. Just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it.
Whenever you're painting, it's a good idea to wear a mask. Masks are really good. Here we go. You'll see a difference right away. Right away. Oh man, that's just the first coat. We're going to do 2 coats. That's the first coat. Wow, look at that. That's what I'm talking about.
Alright everybody, that's how you do the outside of the Crown Vic. So this took me about 2 days in total to do. The 1 day for the inside, 1 day for the outside. So it's just a bit of labor, very little cost, and you can see how big a difference that makes. Unlike most cars from the 90s and 2000s, Crown Vics are an appreciating asset, especially the police interceptors. So hold on to them and make them look good. Alright, so thanks for watching Photo Mike's Garage. I will see you next time.